Hey, y'all remember back in the day when Gamefreak used to just tell you to literally go fuck yourself if you wanted some legendary Pokemon? Like, y'all remember that Reggie puzzle, right? Where you had to read Braille and have a Wailord and a Relicanth in front and back of your party, and they expected you to read Braille. How do you even read Braille? This was a puzzle back in like 2003 when the internet didn't even exist yet, and Game Freak thought that you'd be able to figure this shit out. I don't even know how the fuck you figure this out, if there's a guidebook back then or whatever. But that's just the beginning of Game Freak's absolute sadism with some of these fucking Pokemon you gotta find. In that same generation, we're gonna start talking about this boy Feebas. You know, the little ugly ass Pokemon or whatever that's literally known for being ugly. I swear someone at Game Freak had been having a really dog shit day whenever they thought up of this fucking idea for Feebas. So we have a terrible Pokemon that's only good trait in terms of base stats is speed. With like one of the worst movesets you've ever seen that's barely better than fucking Magikarp's, learn like 4 attacking moves, and it's literally just Magikarp stats but inburst. How are we gonna find him? Is it gonna be like Magikarp or in every water area in the game you can find him? Nah. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have one specific fucking route in the middle of nowhere. Is he gonna be available on every tile on this route? You know, maybe like a 5% chance? Nah. What we're gonna do is, because I had a fucking terrible day and someone pissed in my coffee this morning, is we're gonna make it in 6 random tiles. Okay, that sounds kind of sadistic, man. So what tiles are we gonna have them on? They're gonna be, you know, set tiles? Nah, they're random every single day, and you're just gonna have to come back and trust your luck every day on these tiles. Well, gee, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Well, someone pissed in my coffee today, so fuck you. Okay, so when you evolve to Milotic, you know, it's the end. Once you catch the Feebas, you evolve to like level 25, you get a Milotic, right? Nah, we're gonna have the Pokeblock system, you know, that fucking beauty contest shit that no one cares about and like people even forget exists in the first place. Yeah, dude, what about it? You have to max out your beauty in order to get your Milotic. Well, that doesn't sound like very much fun. Well, fuck them. I don't want anyone to have this Pokemon. Also, let's make the Milotic good as shit, so there's a reason to get one instead of just Pokemon like Chimecho that is tacked on the end of Pokedex. Everyone forgets to exist. Well, gee, Bob, that doesn't sound very fun. Like I said, fuck them. They pissed in my coffee this morning. But that's the worst of Gen 3, aside from the Reggie puzzle I mentioned earlier, which is kind of infamous by now. But there's also a whole bunch of random 1% exclusives like Plusle, Minun, Illumise, and Wailord that were like 1% chance. And you got like a level 20 Wailord on like Route 130 or whatever it was. That's really about it for Gen 3 though. But Gen 4 is where Game Freak really ramped it up to 11. Let's talk about Munchlax. I've had Pokemon Platinum since I was 10 years old. My sister gave it to me as a present to get me off of asking them to beg them to play Pokemon cards. And I played through this game probably, I don't know, 10, 15 times. And now you're probably asking, why the hell do I care how many times Snowy's played through this game? Well, because I've gotten this Pokemon we're talking about once during a playthrough in 10 years. And probably 15 or so files that I've made over the years and done Honeytree. Now you might be thinking, sure, Snowy, that's bullshit. You're either making that number up or it's exaggerated. Oh. Hey Bob, how's it going? Man, I fucking hate my life. You remember, what were we doing? Honeytrees? Munchlax? Yeah, that Pokemon looks pretty good. Snorlax is still good, right? So, we're gonna have him on 4 Honeytrees, and it's gonna be a 1% chance on those Honeytrees. Oh, alright, calm down, Bob. What's the problem here, man? A 1% chance on 4 trees, so those 4 trees gonna be set? Fuck no! They're gonna be completely random based on your trainer ID or whatever bullshit I come up with. Well, gee, Bob, we already did this with Feebas and those trendy sayings back in the day. Oh yeah! Speaking of that, let's do the exact same thing for this generation, Gen 4 Feebas, but this time it's going to be 6 random tiles that literally change by the day this time. Okay, yeah, that sounds pretty sadistic. We'll throw that in there. We'll put it in a foggy area, too, so the new HM can be used with it. Yeah! Also, for this Munchlax shit, remember that Honeytree mechanic? Y'all thinking to have this be like as many times as you want? Yeah, Bob, that would be fun, right? Well, we're going to have the kicker be that you have to wait 6 real-life hours. And to make sure you can't flip forward the clock on the TS to anti-cheese this, we going to have the clock internally the game. So whenever you slather the honey, the clock starts, and it's unaffected by the DS timer. Well, gee, Bob, that really doesn't sound like much fun. Not only can they not find the Munchlax trees without using some internet shit that doesn't even exist yet, but it's a 1% chance once you finally do figure out, and there's no way to know which tree is a Munchlax tree. Well, like I said, my day sucks. I'm out of here. Fuck this company. I don't even know how people figured out how to get Munchlax back in the day. Like, I didn't know as a kid. I wasn't a huge Munchlax fan as a kid as much as I am now. I love Munchlax. He's a cool man. But like I said, I've gotten him once because of the circumstances here. 1% chance on a completely random honey tree, or 4 random honey trees out of, 21? So that is less than 25% of your honey trees, and you have no fucking way to tell because it was 2 IDs. My bad. I thought it was just 1. No, the secret ID, which, as you might figure, is a secret, so you can't figure that shit out. You have to probably use another tool online to get it. So obviously people back in the day didn't know. And I just want to know, how in the fuck are you supposed to figure this shit out? Like, how are you supposed to figure out how to get a Munchlax? Just pure chance? The people that end up getting one ain't gonna know any better. They'll be like, yeah, I got a Munchlax. Like, imagine going to your, middle school friends group at your lunch table and telling your friends you got a Munchlax, and then they ask you how you got one, and you have to sit there and explain this to them. And then when you explain how to get it, they're like, what the fuck, man? This isn't working. I tried the same tree you did, and it's not working. And you have to sit there, and you're like 10. You don't know any better. This is some sadistic shit from Gamefreak. This is probably the worst Pokemon I could think of. And like I've said, I've gotten it once in 10 years for this. And I don't think there's anything nearly as bad since then. But this is ridiculous. These fucking assholes. Yeah, I forgot to mention roaming Pokemon are a fucking cunt to deal with. Yeah, they've been pretty much every generation since Gen 3 or whatever, where they just have some fucking generic legendary roam the map for the rest of the game, like an Entei or a Raikou or a Latias or whatever. Sometimes they'll give you a map to track them down, sometimes you won't. Everyone knows about them. They're a pain in the ass, and they're known to have some trolly ass moves like Roar, or just be really strong, or just really annoying. And I remember one time there was a glitch in Gen 3 with the legendary dogs in Fire Red Leaf Green that they roared. They roared you while you had them trapped. It would break the game. Like, they would just disappear from your file, so you had to restart all over again. And a lot of the time, these legendary Pokemon you're trying to track down, while they run halfway across the map, trying to run halfway across the world for you to track down. These dudes aren't even that strong. Like, the legendary dogs in Gen 3 and 4 aren't that strong. They're not worth it. When considering you get a Ho or a Lugia just handed to you, or a Giratina or whatever, you're not going to use these. Sure, you can use them in the Battle Factory post-game, but that doesn't in any way excuse the ridiculous tedium of having to run back and forth out of route entrance and check your map for 30 minutes just to get a chance at getting them. And don't even get me started on Mesprit from Gen 4 as well. That Pokemon is actually, literally by far the worst out of the Emotion Trio, whatever they're called. But it requires the most pain because you have to run this bitch down, and you have to get the Poketch app for, track. You have to get a Poketch app. You remember that fucking thing remember that fucking thing? Oh, God. What a terrible invention. I can't believe they brought that back, too, for the remakes, which were slop. But anyway. Yeah, there's just no reason to run that thing down when it's just worse than the other two that don't require you to do them. And you thought we were done with Gen 4, but oh no, I forgot about Spiritomb. Well, for Spiritomb, they decided the underground feature, which was one of my favorite things to do as a kid, would be incorporated into this. And now you might be thinking, well, this surely would be easy, right? Maybe you just mine something up, or it's a random encounter down there like the Great Underground and the remakes. Well, back in Gen 4, the underground didn't have wild areas. What you had to do was find this keystone thing from some random NPC on Route 210, I think, and put it into this random fucking pile of rocks. And then after that, what do you think happens? You just wait around for a while, maybe it spawns. Nah, bro. What they have you do is you have to talk to 32 people in the underground. And now you might be thinking, oh, it's no big deal, Snowy, just go online and do it. Yeah, there is no online for the Grand Underground, or in this case, the regular Underground back in the day. There was no online feature that I'm aware of. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't. So that means you have to have real-life people. You have to talk to 32 of them. And now you might be thinking, well, that's no big deal if you're friends, right? No. You can't just talk to the same person 32 times in a row. They have to come back down over and over again. They have to be different, unique people. And even if you have this like 2DSs where you can just do this over and over again. It's going to take you 30 minutes. And if you don't, you're just never going to get Spiritomb, which is actually a decent Pokemon in this generation. It's ridiculous. Well, that about does it for me on my rant on Game Freak's incredible sadism in Gens 3 and 4 specifically. There's definitely more Pokemon I'm forgetting about, so be sure to leave those in the comments and call me a knobhead and tell me how wrong I am about how you actually got these Pokemon on your first try. Now, Honeytree Munchlax isn't the worst thing ever. If this gets any sort of traction, I might make a part 2. That's about it for me, though. See ya.